Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be starting part 7 in Living Untethered by Michael Singer. And part 7, we're going to be talking about learning to let go. So there are, I believe, 5 chapters in part 7. We've got 2 parts left in this book. So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 30, Techniques for Freeing Yourself. Logically, it doesn't make sense to store inside of you the experiences that bothered you the most. If you do that, you will build your own internal house of horrors and will struggle to be comfortable inside. This is the root cause of all anxiety, tension, and psychological disturbances. This cannot be fixed until you deal with it at its very root. As long as you are holding inside of you that which bothered you 10 or 20 years ago, you are going to suffer. Once your intent is to use every moment of your life to free yourself, the question becomes how to do that. Believe it or not, your sincere intent to be free is more important than any technique you can use. You're in there, and if you understand these teachings, you realize you don't want blockages in there. They make life extremely difficult. So you commit to letting them go. Traditionally, there are some powerful techniques for freeing yourself during your everyday life, and we will discuss 3 of them in very broad terms. The first technique is called positive thinking. Yogananda used to teach that every time you have a negative thought, replace it with a positive one. This is a very basic and useful technique for bringing about change. It is based on the 2 types of thoughts we discussed earlier. Those created willfully and those that happen automatically. If you notice your mind giving you a hard time while you're driving, those are automatically generated thoughts. You are not purposely creating them. Now try purposely creating positive thoughts about the situation. If the person in front of you is driving much slower than the speed limit, you might say inside your mind, "Wow, what an opportunity to relax. I can't be in a rush because the person in front of me won't let me. I guess it's time to watch my breath, calm down, and learn to enjoy the experience." You're welcome to do that in everyday life. You're not fighting with your mind or pushing away the negative thoughts. You're simply replacing the automatically generated thoughts with willfully created ones. Don't fight, just replace. It doesn't matter if the negative thoughts continue in the background. Just focus on the positive thoughts you are willfully creating. Over time, your willfully created thoughts will replace the automatically generated ones. This is a very healthy thing to do. Simply apply your will to offset or neutralize the effect of your samskaras. Over time, this will develop a more positive mind, which is a much nicer environment to live in. The next technique is very traditional and is broadly referred to as mantra. In the most general sense, mantra means training your mind to repeat a simple word or phrase over and over until it gets stuck in your mind. Just like a song can get stuck in your mind, a mantra can get stuck in your mind. We all experience that our minds can work in layers. You can be paying attention to someone speaking and there can still be thoughts going on in the back of your mind. Your mind is so brilliant it can multitask. It can create thoughts at multiple levels and you can be aware of these layers simultaneously. Mantra is offering you a layer of mind that is always there, balanced, pleasant, a safe place to rest. As the mantra effortlessly goes on in the background, it gives you the choice of which layer of mind you want to focus on. When the habitual thoughts come up from your samskaras, you don't have to fight with them or even replace them. You just shift your consciousness onto the mantra. With positive thinking, you are continuously using your will to neutralize negative thoughts with positive ones. With mantra, you are simply using your will to shift the focus of your consciousness from the samskara-generated thoughts to the mantra. Mantra is a gift. It's like a built-in vacation. If you do the work necessary to instill the mantra in a layer of your mind, it will change your life. First off, the mantra does not have to be a traditional Sanskrit mantra like Om Namah Shivaya or Om Mani Padma Hum. It can be a name or a word for God like Jesus, Adonai, or Allah. In fact, a very powerful mantra is simply God, God, God. If all these seem too religious for you, a great thing to have going in your mind is, I'm always fine, I'm always fine, I'm always fine. How nice would it be to be reminded of any of these throughout your day? It is not difficult to instill the mantra in your mind. All it takes is repetition. You can start practicing mantra during the time you put aside each morning and evening for your spiritual practices. Even just 15 minutes will go a long way. A good technique is to tie the mantra to your breath going in and out. Then during the day, come back to it whenever certain events occur. For example, you could say a few repetitions of the mantra before you pick up the phone and after you put it down. It just takes a moment, and you are making a major investment in becoming a more conscious, centered being. Do it whenever you get into or out of your car, as well as when you enter or leave your house or office. No one will even notice. It is just a moment's pause that will change everything over time. Before you eat, say the mantra. If you are eating by yourself, you can have fun inwardly repeating the mantra while you chew your food. Make it a game. How many recurring events in your everyday life can you set up to remind you to practice the mantra? Here's a good use of your smartphone. Set up a repeating reminder to do the mantra. Over time, you will train your mind to always have the mantra going on in the background during your daily life. Even if you have done this work on yourself, a fateful day will inevitably arrive. Something will happen and your emotions or thoughts will start to get upset. You'll be on the verge of losing it, but the mantra will catch your attention just enough to give you the choice. Go down or go up. You immediately shift your awareness off the mess and onto the mantra, and your life changes. The mantra does not stop you from having constructive thoughts. It just sits there as a safety net to catch you if you start to fall. When you have some time to actually rest back into the mantra, you will become filled with peace and well-being. It's like a vacation from the personal mind. How would you like it if the moment you sat down, tension and stress melted away as if you fell back into the lap of the mantra? All this is available to you free of charge. Just be willing to make the investment in yourself. Notice that with mantra, you are learning to surrender the hold that the personal mind has on you. The final technique we will discuss for freeing yourself from yourself is generally termed witness consciousness, and it includes the powerful practice of relaxing and releasing. Witness consciousness is deeper than the other techniques because, in the end, it doesn't require working with the mind. Positive thinking involves creating positive thoughts to replace the negative ones. Mantra involves creating a layer of mind that provides a peaceful and steady environment for rising above the lower layers. Witness consciousness is simply noticing that you are noticing what the mind is doing. You don't need to interact with the mind. You don't need to do anything. Just be the one who notices that the mind is creating thoughts, and you are aware of them. In order to do that, you can't be disturbed by the thoughts that are being created. If the thoughts bother you, you will leave the seat of objective observation and try to change the mind. To truly achieve witness consciousness, you must be willing to let the thoughts be as they may and simply be aware that you are aware of them. If you want to experience true witness consciousness, just look in front of you. Do you see what's there? Don't think about it, just see it. That's witness consciousness. It's just seeing. You are simply witnessing what's there. Now turn your head and look around. Practice the immediacy of just seeing. Notice that your thoughts often have something to say about what you see. Can you simply notice these thoughts like you noticed what was outside? Or do you have to do something about them? Thoughts, emotions, they come up by themselves. Good. Now simply notice them. When you reach the state where you can observe what is going on in the mind and the heart, you'll notice that you're not always comfortable with what's happening inside. What is more, there is the tendency to want to willfully do something about it. That's very natural. If you want to willfully do something, here's what you can do. Relax. This is certainly not the intuitive thing to do. You want to protect yourself from the inner disturbances by getting rid of it. That struggle just makes it worse. You are capable of simply relaxing and not engaging with the disturbed energies. At first, this seems impossible because you're trying to get the disturbance itself to relax. Don't do that. You relax. You who notices the disturbance are not the disturbance. You are witnessing the disturbance, and you are welcome to relax in the face of it. You are in the seat of awareness, way back inside, watching the dance of mind and heart. It's a very natural place. This place back inside. If you don't get pulled into the thoughts and emotions, you can just relax and notice. Don't think about it. The moment you see what's going on, just relax. Relax your shoulders, relax your tummy, relax your buttocks, and most importantly, relax your heart. Even if the heart itself won't relax, the area around your heart will. You have willpower in there, use it. Here's what you do with your will. Relax and release. First, relax through your initial resistance. Then release the disturbed energy that comes up. When you do this, you are actually providing space for the release of the samskaras causing the disturbance. You are giving them more room to release because you're not struggling with the thoughts and emotions they are creating. Eventually, there is no struggle, and you have created distance between the seat of self and the noisy mind. To be free, you need distance between those two, subject and object. Spirituality is not about changing the objects you're looking at. Spirituality is about accepting the objects but not getting sucked into them. It's about being detached and feeling at peace with whatever your mind and heart are doing. When you are totally comfortable with everything that can come from your mind and heart, they will stop creating inner disturbance. You don't know that yet, but it's true. People often ask whether the mind will keep talking once you are at peace with it. The mind is talking because you're not okay, and it's trying to figure out how to be okay by getting things the way you want. Once you're okay in there, there's much less to talk about. When you're in the presence of someone you love, you're not thinking about how to find love. You're just experiencing the beauty of love. Likewise, when you are okay in there, you will not be thinking about how to be okay. You will just be relaxing into the quiet state of peaceful well-being. This requires that you be okay with your thoughts and emotions. Relaxing in their presence is a good start to being okay with them. If you can't willfully relax in the face of thoughts and emotions, you will have to do something about them. You will get pulled down into them and attempt to do something to fix what is bothering you. Better to simply relax and allow the samskaras the room they need to release. When you relax back into witness consciousness, you are surrendering to the reality of what is happening. First relax, then lean away. You who notices are at a distance from what you are noticing. You don't have to think about it. Just notice that you are seeing in there. Thoughts and emotions are all distinct and at a distance from you. Now lean away from their noise. The mind and emotions make noise. That is not a problem. Just relax and lean away from the noise. When you lean away from the noise, you are creating distance between you, the consciousness, and the objects of consciousness, or the thoughts and emotions. In that distance, the samskaras have room to release their energy. It's going to get uncomfortable, and that's natural. The discomfort you are experiencing is the discomfort of samskaras being released. They were stored with pain. They are going to release with pain if you let them. This is the pain that ends all pain. All right, chapter 31, low-hanging fruit. I'm just going to take a look at our... Okay. The best way to let go of stored pockets of pain is to practice. Just as you practice scales to learn the piano or practice a sport to get good at it, so you practice letting go to learn how to do it. You start with simple things. We call these the low-hanging fruit. There are many situations each day when you create inner disturbance for absolutely no good reason. Bothering yourself about the car in front of you does no good at all. It only makes you tense and uptight. The cost-benefit analysis is 100% cost and zero benefit. Letting go of that tendency should be easy, but it's not. You will find that you're in the habit of insisting and demanding that things should be the way you want, even if it's irrational. Things are the way they are because of all the influences that made them that way. You are not going to change the weather by complaining about it. If you are wise, you will start to change your reactions to reality instead of fighting with reality. By doing so, you will change your relationship with yourself and with everything else. Start with the small things to prove to yourself that you are capable of doing this. Working with yourself at this level is practicing letting go. Once you are able to relax and release through the relatively easy stuff, you will find you are better able to deal with the bigger situations. You are training yourself to deal with yourself. Lots of different experiences in life fall into the low-hanging fruit category. A good practice for letting go can be found in your relationship with the weather. Believe it or not, you can use the weather for tremendous spiritual growth. There's always weather out there: hot, cold, windy, dry, humid, and everything in between. The weather has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the forces that are causing it to be the way it is. If you can't handle the weather without getting disturbed, how are you going to handle anything else? Complaining about the weather is a perfect example of something that has a 100% cost and zero benefit. What do you gain by complaining about the weather? Nothing, except to get upset. I couldn't handle the heat today. It was terrible. I was sweating. I hated it. Congratulations. You didn't have a nice day, and it didn't change the weather one bit. Eventually, you start to work with yourself. When your mind complains about the weather, don't fight with it. If you want, you can use positive thinking. For example, when the mind starts up with, "It's hot, I'm so hot," instead of getting into that, ask yourself, how did it get hot? What does that mean, it's hot? Use your mind to remind you that there's a star 93 billion miles away that is so hot you can actually feel its heat. That's amazing. Use your higher mind to appreciate and respect reality instead of complaining about it. When you do this, you are willfully using your mind for something positive and constructive. You are raising yourself. Though this practice of positive thinking is beneficial, ultimately what you need to do is relax and release past the disturbance. If you bother to relax and release, you won't be so hot. After all, you in there can't get hot. You can only experience that the body is hot. You are way back inside, witnessing the experience of heat. If you relax and release back into your seat of consciousness, you are relaxing away from the part of you that's complaining. There is definitely complaining going on in the mind. No reason to deny that. But if you relax and lean away from where the noise is coming from, you will be leaning back into the seat of self. Two things can happen when you relax and release. One, you stop fighting with the causes of your disturbed mind, and that gives them room to release. Two, you are actually relaxing back into the seat of self, and you will grow spiritually. If you will do that with the weather, if you will do that with the car in front of you, if you will do that with these low-hanging fruit situations, you'll grow every single day. The way to know that you are working with low-hanging fruit is that the situation is resolved simply by letting it go. There is nothing else to do about it. You were the only problem, and once you let go of creating the problem is solved. If you accept the weather, there's nothing else to do about it. If you accept the myriad meaningless things you have decided to bother yourself about, there's nothing else to do about them. That's how you identify the low-hanging fruit. In contrast, if you let go of your reactions to a situation and there is still something in front of you to deal with, then you have some work to do outside. If you lose your job and work with letting go of your negative reaction, that's good, but you still need to go out and look for a new job. Letting go does not absolve you of your responsibilities in life. You are not letting go of life, you are letting go of your personal reactions to life. Your personal reactions do not help you deal with situations in a constructive manner. They actually cloud your ability to make good decisions. When all is said and done, you're going to find the majority of your inner disturbance falls into the category of low-hanging fruit. The only reason there's a problem is because you defined it that way. You are the problem, and that can't be solved outside. It can only be solved inside. All right, let me just take a look here at my next chapters. I think we can read one more, so the next video will probably be shorter. Chapter 32, The Past. You're driving down the street and a billboard reminds you of something that troubled you in the past. Perhaps it was an event that happened 8 years ago. What is the benefit of getting disturbed by that? You just ruined your day for no good reason. Just because something bothered you in the past doesn't mean it should still be bothering you. After all, it's no longer happening. You think that since you don't want to go through it again, you need to remember how bad it was. That's like saying you need a doggy bag for the food that made you sick, so you can take it home, taste it each morning, and remember how sick it made you. I can't argue with his examples here. You would never do that with bad food, so why do you do it with bad experiences? We are now ready to pay attention to another area that is very ripe for spiritual growth, your past. You probably won't agree at first, but it falls under 100% cost and 0 benefit. Of what possible benefit could it be to still be bothered by something that happened before that isn't happening now? It's already over. There is 0 benefit to being bothered by something that is not even happening. On the other hand, there is certainly an amazing cost. Your entire mental, emotional, and even physical health. Instead, if you let experiences pass completely through you when they are actually happening, they will touch you to the core of your being and become part of you without leaving any scars. You will simply be able to learn from the experience and grow. Once you fully digest an experience, you will naturally know how to deal with it should it happen again. If you touched a hot stove when you were a child, you don't have to keep the painful experience in the forefront of your mind. You don't need to always remind yourselves that stoves are hot and can hurt you. If you do that, you will have made a samskara out of the experience, instead of simply learning from it. Don't worry, you will know darn well not to touch a hot stove again. Similarly, once you have learned a sport or a musical instrument, you don't have to keep thinking about how to play. It becomes second nature. That means it is integrated into your whole being. It becomes totally natural, and you never need to think about it again as you do it. That is how all your past learning experiences should be. Effortlessly there when you actually need them, never bothering you when you don't. If you process your experiences properly, they will always be there to serve you, never to haunt you. Perhaps this exercise will help you understand what it means to fully process something instead of having it pass through your thinking mind. Just for a moment, glance at the scene in front of you. How hard was it for you to see it? Obviously, it took no effort at all. You just instantly saw it. What if the finest artist in the world called you on the phone wanting to paint what you saw right then? How long would it take you to describe everything to them? We're talking about every color, shade, reflection of light, grain variation in the wood, every single detail. That would be a very long phone call. Yet you saw it all in a billionth of a second. That is the difference between consciousness just seeing versus the mind trying to process what is seen. This difference holds true for all life experiences. When you have an experience, it can simply come in and touch consciousness directly. It doesn't need the mind to judge it as desirable or undesirable and store it accordingly. Just as you were able to see the scene in front of you in full detail without thinking about it, so you can integrate the fullness of your experiences into your being without having to block them in your mind. There's nothing richer than a fully processed experience integrated into your whole being. How many incidences from your past would you like to truly be done with, rather than having to deal with them mentally and emotionally, long after they are ancient history? In fact, to achieve deep spirituality, your unfinished past cannot be inside of you. It must be gone, not suppressed, but gone. You will see over time that when those blocked patterns are gone, all that is left is the flow of spirit. What is left is the most beautiful thing that could ever exist. How do you let go of the past? It's very straightforward. The past blockages will come up on their own on a daily basis, and when they do, let them go. There is no game here, it's quite simple. Outside events cause stored patterns to come up. Good, let them come up. Things are going to happen in your life that hit your samskaras. If samskaras are in there, they are going to get hit. The world is perfect for each person's growth, but not for the reason you think. The world is a perfect fit for everyone's growth because everyone is looking at the world through their own blockages. It's the same as with the Rorschach ink blot test. It's not that the ink blot is perfectly tailored to bring up your issues. It's that you are looking at the ink blot through the veil of your issues and projecting your issues onto it. That's why the same ink blot works fine for diagnosing all patients, just as the same world works perfectly for everyone's growth. If you want to see what is really out there, you need to get rid of your inner issues. Our scientists tell us there's really nothing out there, just a bunch of atoms made up of electrons, neutrons, and protons. Our quantum physicists go even further. They tell us that there's really just a quantum field of pure energy that has both wave and particle characteristics. The subatomic particles emanating from this energy field, quarks, leptons, and bosons, are what make up our entire universe. Though you couldn't care less about these particles, the structures they create come in through your senses, hit your stored blockages, and gets uncomfortable in there. You are doing this. Thought I read that wrong. The subatomic particles can't be doing this. To free yourself, the moment you notice a disturbance, let go. Don't wait until that initial disturbance takes over your mind. You are perfectly aware that you're beginning to get upset before you actually get upset. You feel it. You feel when something starts to bother you. If you want to grow spiritually, that's the moment when you do the work. This is the essence of spiritual growth. If you work on yourself, you're going to create a beautiful place inside to live. This is more important than your marriage or your family. It's more important than your job or your career. You're working on yourself directly instead of indirectly. If you create a beautiful inner environment, you can have a wonderful marriage, a wonderful family life, and a wonderful job. But if you have a mess inside, you'll just be trying to use these outer situations to make yourself okay. This can work for short periods of time, but you don't want to build your house on sand. The alternative is when the stuff starts to come up, the second you feel that change, relax. Don't even wait until you know what it's about. Just relax and let go. You can work with samskaras at the energetic level rather than the mental level. This is much deeper. There are blockages in there, but they don't want to be in there. They want to come up and be released. Surrender is the act of letting go instead of resisting by pushing the blockages away. You will see it's not always comfortable when these disturbances from your past come up. The events weren't comfortable when they happened, that's why you pushed them away. Now that they're trying to release, are you going to push them back down for another 10 years? If you are not serious about working on yourself, that is what's going to happen. Eventually, you will take it seriously that the purpose of your life is letting go of these stored patterns. Your blocked past is keeping you from God, and it's keeping you from having a beautiful life. The same sincere effort you put into a relationship or into earning money, you learn to put into freeing yourself of these blockages. Remember this. It's not about renunciation, it's about purification. It's about cleaning out the inside so you can have a beautiful life, both outside and in. At some point in your growth, you will recognize that freeing yourself is worth the discomfort of letting go of past disturbances. Look at what athletes go through for the Olympics. For years, they put themselves through hell to win a gold medal. They feel proud for a while, then what? It becomes a wall ornament. We're talking about putting out a fraction of that effort to win everything, and the fruits of your effort will keep giving over time. Imagine not having those sensitive blockages in there. Imagine being able to enjoy the world as it unfolds around you. You can begin to appreciate life and wholeheartedly participate in it. What is that worth? This is what happens when you are willing to let go of your past. This is a very important spiritual practice. You should be able to look back on your past and say, thank you. It doesn't matter what happened. Remember, every moment there are trillions and trillions of things going on in the universe, but you only get to experience one. How can you not appreciate the one you get to see? You came down to earth, and this was the experience you had. That's what your life is, the sequence of experiences you got to experience. Learn to love and appreciate your past. Fully embrace it, thank it for teaching you, and let go of any judgment that there was something wrong with it. Your past is uniquely yours. It happened, it's sacred, it's beautiful. Nobody else ever had it, and nobody else ever will. Embrace your past. Hug it, kiss it, love it to death. All right, so we will stop right there. And I do want to add that I've read lots of things on the internet, obviously, social media, and tons of different videos on all of these fancy rituals that people do and hours of meditation and all of this and that. And I read a really good, I don't remember who it was. I want to say it might have been Buddha. He said something along the lines of, it doesn't matter these rituals and how long you meditate for. Your spiritual life is the journey you walk each day. It's the thoughts in your mind. It's the actions of your body. It's the words out of your mouth. Your spiritual journey is the path you are literally and figuratively walking. It is far less about the meditation and the lighting of the incense and all the little things, the crystals, all of that. None of that will ever bring you to the true, genuine core of who you are, more than living your spiritual journey by the steps that you walk each day. So I really, really do resonate with what this author is saying. And I like I said, I can't argue with these amazing examples that really kind of hit you in the face and go, wow, I never looked at it like that. I never thought of it like that. So we will finish up the last 2 chapters in part 7 in our next video. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and I will see you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.